Beautiful divine beings of love and light, welcome to my channel. Daniel here. Today we're going to talk about a quantum concept that Jesus teaches about in the Bible in Matthew 5:22. But first I just wanted to give a little prelude about why quantum physics, why quantum science, why the quantum realm is actually so important to our lives. The reality is that the quantum realm is the physics of reality. It is the actual the mechanism in which you input things and then the result comes back out. Okay? So it's, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So, you punch a wall and the reaction is that the wall breaks in, right? So we understand that mechanism. We understand that when we turn the tap on at the kitchen sink, water comes out. But have you ever dealt with like a weird tap you didn't know how to turn on? It's like you're super thirsty and you want water, but you don't know how to turn the tap on because you don't understand the way that the mechanism works. So it's really important that we understand the mechanism or the science of reality. And that's where quantum physics has done a really, really good job. And it's not something new. Max Planck, back in the early 1900s, came up with quantum field theory, and then later Einstein and other people in the 40s, 50s, 60s, throughout the 1900s solidified this and laid the foundation for what is now mainstream quantum mechanics and physics. But guess what? It's never been in the news. We still are operating largely under the old paradigm of Newtonian physics, which is about matter and not energy. And so our worldview has remained very fragmented so that the masses can continue to keep us in control, to keep us in bondage, to keep us building with our thoughts and our energy the paradigm that keeps us in bondage in this world so that they can continue to be the ones who prosper. And it is that big. It is that big of a deal. And so that's not a hyperbole at all. We are essentially in a concentration camp. And I know that has a bad meaning to it, but what I mean by that is that what we concentrate on, like we're on this earth journey, on this physical plane, we are in a concentration camp. So a camp is like a journey. It's like a place that you go and experiment and do different things. When I was like a Cub Scout, when I was younger, we would go and camp and we would learn to build fires, learn to tie knots, learn to do different things. Well, this earth journey is a journey of learning, a camp of learning how to concentrate. Another word for concentrate is paying attention. And so when we pay attention to something, where our attention goes, energy flows. Okay, so whatever we focus on in our life, we're actually paying attention with the currency of our own energy, with our own consciousness. So when you go to the store and you buy a bunch of meat, you buy some vegetables, and you're buying a bunch of groceries, you're paying them with financial currency. Well, every time you look at the news, every time you give your energy and your focus and your concentration to something of this world, you're actually feeding your energy. You're paying that thing with your attention. Okay? So it's really important that we understand this, that we are energetic beings, that we are powerful co-creators with Christ, that we have an electromagnetic expression and frequencies that emanate from our heart and mind. And so Jesus was an amazing quantum teacher who illustrated these principles so that we could understand how to live the best possible life, how to live in alignment with who we truly are. And so the principle I want to talk about today has been kind of called the mirroring effect. And essentially the principle is what you put out is what you're going to get mirrored back to you in your life. Really quick example. About a month and a half ago, I was in a meditation in the morning, and there was a lot of old energy. Maybe you can relate to this, but I've been letting go a lot of the old patterns of striving, a lot of the old patterns of moving very quickly through life, of needing to get things done in a works-based manner. And the levels are deep. This has been going on for a long time, but this is a much deeper level than ever before. And in my meditation, I kept having old energies come up, old things that were trying to grab me and pull me out of the meditation into check the time, how much time is left. You need to get this done today. You need to get this done today. You need to have all these things done. And it was this old energy that was trying to pull me out of the present back into my old state of striving, because that energy had been in my body for so long that it wasn't going to give up without a fight. I was very aware of this. I told my wife, I just said, hey, like this is what I'm going through. So if there's a little bit of irritability or different things coming up in the day, I'm letting go and I'm purging this old energy. I'm going to try my best not to be taken over by it. So I go to the store, I'm in the parking lot, and I'm backing up very slowly. At that time, I had a hurt neck. I slept wrong, and it was really bunged up. I could barely move my back and my neck, and so I couldn't really shoulder check. And so I'm in this parking lot, and it's a long parking lot like this, and I'm outside a Dollarama, and I'm backing out, and as I'm backing out, I have to block off the part of the parking lot where people can drive by. And so I see in my rearview mirror, because I can't turn my head, a guy literally like 100 meters away, ripping up as he sees me coming out like he's going to beat me or something. And I'm just going really slow because I can't really turn, so I'm being cautious. And he pulls up beside me within inches. And it's like I need to keep going back to get out, but I can't tell how much room there is because I can't turn my neck around. And he's honking at me, and he's like giving me the finger out the window. And I looked back at the window, and it's this old guy with an old beard, and he's in this F-150 that's all rusted out in an old F-150. And I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And I'm like, okay. And so I just keep pulling back, and I don't get overtaken because I had a great meditation and I'm centered and I'm in the present, and I'm just looking at him like, wow, he's unconscious. He doesn't know what he's doing. And so I'm totally okay with it. I don't fall back into it. I don't get trapped in the anger, trapped in the old energy that this guy's putting off. And so I pull out, I slowly go. He tailgates me really hard. We happen to be going the same way. I pull up to the stop sign, and he's turning right. And when he goes past me, he puts down his window and he says, "You stupid motherfucker." And I just I laughed it off. And I just turned the other way, and I was just like, wow, was that guy angry? Like, it was literally an extra 30, 45 seconds of me just slowly backing out of his day. And while I was driving away, I realized that what I experienced that morning in my meditation with the old works energy, the old energy that wants to grab a hold of you and get you to do something, to move really quickly, to strive your way through life, was actually trying to pull me back in. So it was an external manifestation of that energy coming into my life, trying to get me to come unconscious again so that I could engage with that energy, and then that energy would have a place in my body, that it could stay in my body. And so I became aware of this, and I didn't allow, but I thought, how cool. What a great example of that is that what's going on inside of us will be mirrored back to us in our external reality. And that's a very important quantum principle, that what we are putting out into the quantum field is actually being mirrored back to us and reflected to us externally. And so this is a completely new paradigm, was for me, and it really changed my reality, because I realized that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And that's why it's so amazing, because we are truly co-creating our reality, every thought, every feeling, every action that we do. And we're not living in this isolated, disconnected world where everything's its own individual thing, but we're actually in union with this highly energetic quantum field that is full of limitless possibilities based on what we see and what we feel. Okay, so let's dive into this verse here, because Jesus is beautifully illustrating these quantum concepts to a group of people 2,000 years ago who didn't have a science yet. They didn't even understand this yet. And so what a timeless, amazing teaching that we can find in the Bible and the Word of God about these things, that Jesus was speaking these truths, trying to give the society and people of the time the physics, the mechanism to be able to come into alignment with their best life, to have the universe, to have God, to have the quantum field respond to them favorably so that their lives would be the best that they could be. Okay? So let's check this out. Jesus said right here in verse 22, we're in Matthew 5:22. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother shall be guilty before the court. And whoever says to his brother, you good for nothing, shall be guilty before the Supreme Court. And whoever says, you fool, shall be guilty enough to go into the fiery hell. So we see that Jesus is teaching about different inputs and different punishments that come back to us. We've got three different levels here. We've got the court, we've got the Supreme Court, and we've got the fiery hell. Okay? So what he's talking about here is that the first one he mentions is the brother, and this brother is angry. Anyone who is angry with his brother shall be guilty before the court. And so what's he referring to here? Well, we know that emotions are energy in motion. So anger is an energy in your body that you're holding in your heart. And your heart is an electromagnetic organ that releases a field around your body, that releases an energetic expression around your body. And so that guy in his car was releasing anger towards me. He was releasing resentment towards me because I wasn't moving up fast enough. So guess what's going to be reflected back to him in his life later on in the day? More circumstances for him to be angry at. Because what he's putting out is an expression of anger, and it's going to be more, the universe is faithful to give you more circumstances that are in alignment with what you are in alignment with. Okay? And so if you have anger in your heart towards someone, you're not hurting that person. You're actually having that come back to you, and you're subject to what Jesus called the court. See, the court is a picture or a parable idea of a place where somebody gets judged, where there's judgment. Okay? So there's a punishment comes. So say somebody's speeding and you're angry in your car and you're speeding like that guy and you get pulled over. There's going to be a punishment. You're going to have to go to court and pay a fine. Okay? Not a big deal. Maybe it's $100, $200 fine. Great. Well, that's not a big deal. But the next level is actually the Supreme Court. So it's not just anger anymore. It's not just an internal emotion, but it's actually taking a step and acting and speaking from that place of emotion, because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Okay, so it says, you good for nothing shall be guilty before the Supreme Court. Okay, so now that you've spoken and released something out of that anger, out of that frequency, you have created a bigger energetic expression in the quantum field. You have released a greater energetic frequency, expressing that anger, expressing that resentment, expressing whatever emotion it is that you're putting out, because you said, you good for nothing. Just like that guy went by me and he said, you stupid motherfucker, and he swore at me. He was releasing a vibration out of him that is going to cause him more harm in the future, that is going to cause him worse off in the future. When are it could be not just that you're driving and you get pulled over, but maybe you end up crashing your vehicle because you're so angry. Or maybe you blow a red light and get into an accident, or end up doing something that is a higher consequence. The reality is that your physical reality, God, the universe, is the quantum field, is reflecting back to you a punishment, or it's actually more of a correction to help you see what's in your own heart. So when we look at the court and judgment and punishment, we've misconstrued that in Western evangelical Christianity. The punishment or judgment of God is always to bring people into life. And so what he's saying here is the court pronouncing a judgment on you is actually going to reflect this stuff back to you, so that it will show you every negative circumstance in your life is showing you what's in your heart so that you can correct it. So this is where we leave behind duality again. We leave behind the knowledge of good and evil, and we see that the bad things that are happening to us are actually reflections coming from our own heart, coming back to us in our external reality, so that we can go within and be like, wow, I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't want to have that anymore. So essentially, the court, the Supreme Court, and the fiery hell, these punishments are coming and rejecting the false version of yourself that you're operating in, the egoic version of yourself that you're operating in, so that you can let that old egoic nature die, so that you can come into alignment with who you are as a divine, limitless being of light and love. And it's up to you. You get to choose that. But as long as we're unconscious and we're in unconscious program patterns of fear, of anger, of worry, whatever's going on in your life, as long as you remain there, you're going to continue to have circumstances that reflect that back to you until you and resist that part of you from succeeding. Okay? So the next level here isn't just about acting and speaking against somebody, but let's see what it says. It says, and whoever says you fool shall be guilty enough to go into the fiery hell. Wow, that sounds really bad, right? See, in the Christian church, we were taught that if you called somebody a fool or if you did something bad, then you're going to hell. You're going to this place of eternal conscious torment after. But Jesus, the kingdom is now. Hell is now. They're both states of being that we're able to express and manifest in this life. And so what's the difference? Because it says you fool. Saying you fool seems pretty close to calling someone you good for nothing. But there is a difference because there's a level up in punishment. So there must be a difference. So what's the difference here? When you're saying something you good for nothing, like when that guy swore at me, it didn't land on me. It didn't, I saw that he was angry, but I didn't take it personally because my neck was hurt and my back was bunged up and I was driving slower than normal, okay? And that was also a reflection back to me of the new energy that I was coming into, slowing down. But what he spoke to me is he was cursing me because of something I was doing, my bad driving. You good for nothing driver, you're no good at driving. Okay, well, that's just something that I'm doing. It doesn't really affect me. But when you say you fool, you're no longer talking about something that is somebody's doing. You are shifting and changing their identity for the worse. You fool is an identity statement. So what Jesus is saying is if you criticize in the first one something that somebody's doing, and coming and releasing that emotion from your heart, you're subject to the Supreme Court, which is pretty bad. But if you, in your anger or in your low vibrational state, release something into somebody's life that changes their identity to come into that alignment with your low vibrational identity, then you're going to be subject to the fiery hell. Okay? So it's changing somebody's identity through maybe some kind of trauma or abuse or even words that can change somebody's identity. And this, in the same measure that you've changed their identity, you're going to have to walk through a fiery, hellish process that is going to change your identity so that you can see the issues that you've put them through, so that you can experience the same issues that is going to resist that part of you that is causing harm and identity changes to other people. So the fiery hell is the crucible, the fiery process of God, because God is a consuming fire, where he, she, it, the energy comes in, reflected back from the quantum field, and it will purge everything in you that is that fallen identity, that is that broken identity. See, that's why people in alcohol and drug addiction and who are going through terrible stuff have these radical transformations into the light, because they hit bottom, because they end up in jail, because they end up almost losing their life from an overdose. Because they're getting these fiery, hellish experiences that is radically changing and rejecting, resisting that false version of themselves that they're acting out in life, so that they can fully come into the salvation, so that they can fully come into the bliss, so they can fully come into who they are as a spiritual divine being. And so these are the three different levels that Jesus talks about here. I think it's brilliant how he lays it out in parable form of these forces of the quantum field and how what we put out is reflected back to us. And so I hope this makes sense to you. I hope that you I hope this helps you see that what you think and what you feel is very important in life, because what you're putting out into the quantum field is actually collapsing the wave function and materializing what you are thinking and feeling about. And so in this concentration camp, we are learning to concentrate on things above. We're learning to think and feel on things above. We're learning to connect with our hearts, to forgive all other people. We're learning to do these things, but not because we should, and there's a God and a white man with a beard on the throne in heaven that's going to judge us. That's not why. It's because we are learning who we are as quantum co-creators. The God that's judging you in a morality program doesn't exist. That is the way that you've seen God up until this point, or up until other points in your life, just like the way that somebody in kindergarten and grade school sees the world is a lot different than you see the world when you graduate college. Okay? It's a different seeing, it's a different perspective. One's not better than the other, but where we're going and what we're moving into now, we need to understand the mechanisms of reality, how to turn that faucet on, how to make it rain in our life, how to have the growth, how to have the success, how to have the abundant love, how to have the abundant wealth, how to have everything that we want and love in our life. And the reality is the old energy of striving and trying harder, trying to make things happen, to work hard, get it done, is the old energy. That was the highest level of energy back in the 70s and 80s, 90s. But now we're in a completely new energetic state, and those who are led by God are the sons of God. Those who are led by the unction of the Spirit. Those who are led by the energia of heaven inside them. And so we're in this process of letting go what no longer serves us. And so remember, you are a powerful being. I'm talking to you. You're a powerful divine being. And everything you think and feel contributes to this global climate, contributes to this society, and it matters a lot. And I have to remind myself this often. And so we need to become masters of changing our state. This is something that I've been saying to myself, that my situations in life, my circumstances don't matter. My state of being matters. Because the truest sign of change, that you've gone through a transformation, isn't that you're manifesting all the abundance into your life, although that's great. Isn't that you got a new partner and a new relationship. It's that when these circumstances come up against you and you would have got out of your car and fought that guy before, you're okay with it and you react totally different. It's when the external doesn't change and comes back to test you, but your internal reality is so different that it has no hooks in you. Jesus said that the devil has nothing in me. This world has nothing in me. What does that mean? It means that he had purged the energy vibrations that were in alignment with the lower energy fields of the earth, and he was living on a totally different realm. He was living in a heavenly realm. He was living in an ascended energy. And that's who you are. You're an ascended energy, divine light being. And so this is exciting stuff. Yeah, it's a good stuff. Whew. Just take a drink. Just take a drink of the spirit of the divine love. Let it wash over you in this moment. Jose reshe kia raba sasi kia androso komande kia kaya nasa kaya. Reshi kiti kia androbo bosendere de bosakaya teya. Ura mamandesi kia androso koya mamanshiki di kia kanene. You are divine. You are a quantum co-creator. And from this point forward, your life is going to manifest things that you never thought was possible. As your mind, your will, and emotions come into alignment with spirit, things are never going to be the same. There's going to be an ease. There is going to be a grace. I declare over you, there is a grace for you to enter in, to let go of the punishment of the court, the Supreme Court, and the fiery hell. And that all the purging process that needs to happen in your life would happen swiftly, because you would see what you are reflecting out, and that you are the creator of your reality. You are the creator of your destiny. You are co-creating this with the spirit that is transcending all things. You are one with that spirit, yet it transcends you. And so I bless you. I thank you for watching. If you like this content, like and subscribe. There's going to be a lot more quantum teaching videos about Jesus, the quantum teacher, and how to apply these into our life so that we can get the best out of our life, so that we can manifest purpose, so that we can manifest abundance and live in the higher vibrations of the fruit of the Spirit. So, shalom, friends. Have a great day.